ચાલુ કરીએ.
Hello friends, myself Nigam Shah on behalf of Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association, in short GSTBA, and Tax Advocate Association of Gujarat, in short TAG. I am welcoming all the members, especially to Mr. Pankaj Ghia. Friends, you must be aware that recently 43rd council meeting was held and so many amendment was pronounced. Out of these amendments, certain amendments are declared by virtue of notifications or circular, and certain are yet to be received. Now, without wasting of time, I am requesting to run our tag motto form before starting this webinar. Thank you, Pratik Bhai. Friends, we have presidents of Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association and TAG. Now I am requesting Mr. P.K. Soni, President of Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association, to give his welcome speech. P.K. Soni, sir.
Yes, sir. I, P.K. Soni, President the Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association, along with Sri Sunil Keswani, President Tax Advocate Association Gujarat, and other dignitaries of both the association, heartily welcome Sri Pankaj Bhai Ghia, advocate from Jaipur, at this webinar where recent amendments and controversies of GST law will be discussed by him and highlighted by him by the eminent speaker. Friends, we all know that after implementation of GST, we have experience of lot of amendments and notifications, and all this requires healthy discussion. Therefore, we have invited Sri Pankaj Bhai Ghia to elaborate this and give justice to the subject by his expertise, knowledge, and wide experience in the field of taxation. With great pleasure, once again I welcome Sri Ghia sir and all the participants on this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. We have young and dynamic President, Mr. Sunil Keswani. I am requesting Mr. Sunilji to give his welcome speech on behalf of Tax Advocate Association. Sunilji.
Thank you, Nikamji. Hope I am audible, sir.
Yes, you are audible.
Eminent speaker of the day, Advocate Pankaj Ghia ji from Jaipur. Sri P.K. Soni sir, President of the Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association. Sri Varis Isani, Convener of Study Circle and Webinar of Tax Advocate Association. Sri Nigam Bhai Shah, Member of Law and Representation Committee of GSTBA. Dear friends of both the associations, on behalf of both the associations, I welcome you all in this very new selected subject of the webinar. Friends, as you are aware that we are almost in the 48th month of the implementation of GST, but right from inception, we have been facing lot of amendments, changes, and those are coming up with lot of controversies. I think it is a classic case of a half-baked dish being served, and so in the midst, we are being thrown up with amendments, notifications, amendment acts, and whatnot. And so it is creating a lot of controversy, not only for the taxpayer, but also for the tax professionals like us. We are very lucky to have Advocate Pankaj Kiaji, who readily accepted our invitation on a phone call to deliberate upon this very recently amendment 43 GST Council meeting. I'm sure the members of both the associations would be learning a lot of new things, lot of controversial issues which have cropped up and which are going to crop up in the coming future after listening to Pankaj Giaji. I once again welcome Advocate Pankaj Giaji in this webinar. I welcome all the members of both the associations. Thank you. Thank you, Nigam bhai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Friends, we have another member, Mr. Anil Timbalia, who is the member of committee member of the TAG. I am requesting him to give virtual bouquet to respected Sri Pankaj Gia, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Please, oblige, sir. Oblige, sir. Now, sir, Mr. Pankaj Gia is with us. Actually, in fact, he is not required any introduction, but some of new members, young generation member, are with us, and therefore I am requesting our senior member, Mr. Waris Isani, to give introduction of respected Sri Pankaj Gia.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Nigam, the convener of the Legal and Representative Committee of the Gujarat Self Tax Bar Association, President Shri Soni Sir of the Gujarat Self Tax Bar Association, Shri Sunil Bhai Keshwani, President of the Tax Advocate Association, dear participants. It is my proud privilege to introduce and give introduction of today's speaker, Shri Pankaj Gia Sir, who is going to deliver the lecture on the subject of recent amendment, changes and controversies under the GST Act. A pink man from the pink city. Mr. Gia Sir is having a vast experience of 32 years in the field of indirect taxations and corporate litigations. Along with this two field of experience, he is practicing in a different area of indirect taxation also. He is a founder and owner of the Gia Legal Firm, wherein he is having a team of chartered accountants, advocates, and MBA. Gia Sir is practicing in Rajasthan High Court and before the various appellate authority. Gia Sir is having expertise in litigation, compliance, opinion, due diligence, the structure of the business, and taxation planning. Friends, Gia Sir is also very keen, as rightly said by the Nigam Bhai, that we have lot many junior or the younger practitioners with us. This is the one of the core area of the Gia Sir, to train the young professionals by giving them training also, by giving them lectures also. Friends, you will be surprised that Gia Sir has almost delivered 2,000 lectures in his professional careers. Gia Sir has written so many books under the Rajasthan VAT Act, and has also authored 5 books in GST also. Friends, apart from all this activity, he is also giving service to the various professional associations also. Friends, Gia Sir is also master in intellectual property rights and arbitrations also. Friends, Gia Sir is presently Additional General Secretary of Federation of Rajasthan Trade and Industries. He was Secretary General of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners in the year 2088 and immediate past President of the Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association. He is a member of the Tax Advisory Committee constituted by the State Government of Rajasthan. He is a past President of the Tax Consultant Associations Jaipur, Chief Editor of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners Journal, Secretary of Tax Consultant Association Jaipur during the year 95-97, President of Jaipur Junior Chamber, Deputy Chief Editor of Tax World, a monthly tax journal, and General Secretary of Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association in the year 2005-2007. And last year, when the pandemic was there, which has started in the India, and throughout the year, I am a witness of that, particularly so many of other members are also witness. Ghia sir has moderated, conducted and organized various series on the subject of direct and indirect taxations. And very ably, he has conducted and handled all the series. In some of the series, he was a key speaker also. And in some of the series, he was moderating and administered the entire series. We are lucky enough to have a very charming personality. As I rightly stated, he's a very pink man. You know, if you will look see his face on the total whole screen, full screen, you will find it is a pink person from the pink city. It is absolutely my proud privilege to introduce before this gathering on the virtual platform today our speaker Shri Pankaj Ghia sir. I would like to give a thunder round of welcome to our today's speaker, and I am thankful to the organizer, though I am a part of the organization team. But thank you so much both the president and Nigam bhai for giving me this opportunity to introduce today's speaker. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Varis ji. Thank you very much, sir. Now, as per our earlier discussion, after 48 months of this GST, we need to deal with the 43rd amendment, or rather 43rd council meeting. So for this purpose, I am requesting Pankaj Ghia sir to give his lecture on this entire webinar. Pankaj ji, floor is yours.
Thank you, Nigam bhai. It's a privilege for me to be here on this platform of the two leading tax associations of Gujarat, the Gujarat Sales Tax Bar Association and Tax Advocates Association Gujarat. And after hearing such a wonderful introduction of mine, I was thinking whether it is an introduction of mine or somebody else, because the words told by Mr. Varis Irani, I am just deeply flattered by him, and I am on a cloud nine. I can say that. Friends, this pandemic sometimes has given a new opportunity to all of us. Pandemic is bad. We are all facing the problems, and I think this time the severity of the pandemic has been very strong, and almost each and every family has suffered some illness or mishaps, and it is something which we should be very careful. We should be very aware of the risk and going in the field, and particularly not taking precautions. The mask, that social distancing, washing of hands, they are all now the part of life, and that is which we should take care. The 43rd GST Council meeting, and when Mr. Varis and Nigam bhai has contacted me about giving a lecture, I was wondering whether what to say or what not to say, because nowadays the GST amendments are coming day in, day out, and the time extensions and everything, it is out there. However, on their direction, I had prepared a PPT also, which has been given to Mr. Varis and Nigam bhai for circulation to all the members and all in the groups of both the associations. We will have to understand that the GST amendments are part of life. We have to be updated. But every time it is a irony that in each and every case, the time extension is being asked for, and whether the continuous time extension will be given or not. And with the filing of the rates, with the filing of the miscellaneous petitions before the various high courts, sometimes the decisions in favor, sometimes against. The government is also thinking of going to an automatic mode, and gradually it is coming to a pre-filled concept, and we will be seeing that type of digital concepts in the near future. The complications in the GST, whether there will be the complications or the action of the authorities, that has to be seen. With the digital revolution, what we have seen is that the limitation of the faceless thing has created a havoc, because the emotional aspect or the face aspect has gone, and sometimes the practical difficulties are not being understood by the officers when we put it in writing by way of a letter or objection, and those are the things which we are facing. With these opening words, I can simply say that this time the amendments have a far-reaching effect. This time I would be, apart from the amendments, I would be covering some controversies also, as directed by Nigam Bhai and Varis Bhai, and I would be taking your question and answers on the aspects also. So let me start with the presentation. This may take a few seconds because I'm not very good on it. Let me see if I can start it. Just hold on a minute. It will take a few minutes.
Oh, sir. Sure.
I'm taking actually from a different location. So Nigam Bhai, are you seeing my screen? Is the PPT coming on the screen?
No, sir. No, sir. You have to share your screen, sir.
I am sharing my screen, but it should be there. Just hold on, then I would be going through a different mode.
निगम भाई, अगर हम लोग प्रतीक भाई की हेल्प लेके यहाँ से कोई स्क्रीन शेयर करके कर सकते हैं तो
सर वो पीपीटी मिल जाए तो कर देंगे।
मैं भेज दूं आपको व्हाट्सएप में।
रसिक जी मैंने भेज दिया।
ओके।
I think now it is on the screen.
Yes,
Can you
yes,
see?
now it is there. It is there.
Are you getting it now?
Yes, Giaji, now it is there.
So I would be taking from here. Just one more minute. So friends, now I would be talking about the 43rd council meeting, and with this meeting, I think my voice and everything is clear now.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
So thank you and sorry for the inconvenience, because sometimes in Jaipur we have a complete lockdown, and in fact there is no office staff or anybody helping me out. So sometimes in the digital age, though we are more accustomed with the computer, but sometimes it takes time to get to the neck of it. Now coming directly to the point, the government does not listen. That is one aspect of the issue. There were some litigations, some issues, and thereafter the government has listened and had allowed the exemption of IGST also, apart from the basic custom duty, which is already exempt. And now they had allowed that if the certain goods, which are medical oxygen, oxygen concentrators, other oxygen storage and transportation equipment, certain diagnostic marker kit and COVID-19 vaccines, even on payment basis for donating to the government or on recommendation of state authority to any relief agency. Earlier, what was there was that only the exemption was available if it was imported free of cost for free distribution. Now that was something which was created a burden, and even for the aid which was coming out, there were some restrictions. Though there were notifications issued for the aid which was coming out, but apart from it, in certain cases, in case of individuals and other, or coming directly for the states, there were restrictions, and because of it, now this amendment has been brought in. Now, what is the effect of this amendment? The effect has to be seen. They had put up two conditions. One is imported on payment basis. So even if you are paying and it is for the government, for donation to the government, but payment is being made, then it would be allowed. Or what somebody is doing is, some NGO, somebody is importing the goods, they are paying to it, but on the direction of the government or their free will, they are distributing it free of cost. Now, if they get a recommendation letter from the state government, on that basis, they will get the IGST exemption. That is very important. If you do not get the recommendation letter from the local government or the state authority, then the exemption would not be available. It should be clear that basic custom duty, that is normally called BCD, is already exempt. For the individual items, we have seen that there is a judgment of the Gurcharan thing in the case of oxygen concentrator, where the oxygen concentrator was sent as a free gift for his treatment, and on that IGST was being levied. The matter came up before the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court directed that if it is coming as a free gift for individual person with certain conditions, then it would not be taxed. However, that judgment has been stayed by the Supreme Court. Now, two controversies are there. We have to understand those two controversies. What are those two controversies? The first thing is, the government, the GST Council has constituted a GOM, that is a group of ministers, wherein the demand of the state was that for the COVID vaccine and certain other equipments, the tax rate should be made nil or a very nominal rate, that is 0.1% on 0.25%. The condition was, because if at present 5% or 12%, the state government is paying the tax, then the outflow is quite high, and the state government, though getting 50% credit, the rest of 50% is going to the government, central government, and apart from it, they are having a blockage of fund. Now, when it comes to the government, they understand what is the blockage of fund. When all the dealers are saying that in case of input services, the refund be allowed, in case of input tax, the credit be allowed or the cash refund be allowed, they are not understanding the blockage of fund. So as soon as it came on the head of the state government, they came and they realized that if they purchase 1,000 crores of vaccines from Serum India, they have to pay 5% GST. And for 1,000 crore, what would be 5% GST would be almost 50 crore rupees. Though out of that 50 crores, half of amount would be credited to them because of the destination principle and CGST, SGST principle, though initially IGST would be charged. But at the first instance, they will have to fork out 50 crores. And in this COVID pandemic time, that 50 crore is a big amount. They all requested to the central government, and alas, whatever Nirmala Sitharaman, the Union Finance Minister, came out with a statement. Nahi, ye nahi ho sakta. Why it could not happen? She said that if I exempt vaccine or medical equipment, then it would become costly for the manufacturer and he will increase the rate. Now she could not understood a basic simple principle that the wording exemption was not really exemption. It was the reduction of rate of 0.1% or 0.25%. So that if that could have been done, what would have been the effect? It would be equivalent to exemption, and the state would not be required to fork out, say, 50 crores as per the example given to me. It is actually much more. Particularly, say, in Rajasthan, the state was paying 2,500 crores for the vaccination of one lot, and the amount was coming to almost 150 crores. And again, the contention of the state was blockage of fund. Now, that is the irony. That is where it hits most. You have to understand the central government, the GST council meeting which was held, we were all expecting that the rate would be reduced. The vaccine rate would come down to 0.1% or 0.25%. But again, there was fight in the council. There was no unanimity decision, and they had constituted a group of ministers. Even for the group of ministers, there is a fight. Now the Congress ruled states are saying that they have not taken in the group of ministers any chief minister or finance minister from Congress ruled state. Now that is something we are not involved in it. Politics is something which we don't want to burn fingers, because politics is a dual-edged sword. It can cut you both ways. So you cannot go and support one particular party, but we can support one thing. In this pandemic times, the tax rate should be reduced for the vaccine and COVID-related medical items. And the input tax credit chain should continue, and the manufacturer should get the refund. The rate of tax should be reduced to 0.1 or 0.25%. You know, a very funny argument was given. What was the funny argument? Bhai, hum 0.1% nahi kar sakte, for the simple reason that it would create a new tax rate slab. Now, what do you mean it would create a new tax rate slab? It would not create a new tax rate slab. But there is already a slab of 0.25%, and you can always create a new tax rate slab, and that can be 0.1% or 0.25%. But to give for whatever reason. Now, what has happened? When the press conference was there, the question was asked by one of the press people, why you had constituted group of ministers, and what will be the decision of group of ministers, and whether it would be binding on the GST council or not. Now, when there is already a fight between the government and the opposition ruled states about the irony, what would have happened if an exemption was given for 1 month or 2 months? Like an exemption has been given up to 31st August 2021 for the aforesaid items for import from outside India. They can give an exemption for import from outside India. They can give an exemption of basic custom duty. They can give an exemption of IGST. But a reduction in rate of tax of GST so that it benefits the consumers. That cannot be given, and for that a group of ministers has to be formulated. This is something which does not go well with the electorate or even the GST consultants, and that should have been done. The rate of tax for maybe for a month, maybe up to 31st July or 31st August, it should have been reduced, and we hope that on 8th July, when the decision would come, it would come in the favor. So friends, that is one of the major amendments which is there. For other goods, now particular some medicines which are used in endemic elimination program, the rate of tax has been reduced from 12 to 5%. Now there are certain clarifications regarding the sprinklers. For the goods, these are the two major decisions which has come. Now in the case of services or in the case of goods, there are one more major clarification which has come. Now this clarification is a very funny clarification. What was being done was that in case of sprinkler, the tax rate of the parts was always in dispute. Whether the parts which are sold separately would be taxed at the rate of 12% or 18%. And that was a case where multiple notices were being issued by the field formations. The field formations were of the view that the parts are sold separately and they are not part of the sprinkler system, and that would be taxable at the higher rate and not at the rate of the sprinklers and other things. Now that has been done away with for the drip irrigation system and sprinkler. The same rate would apply even if they are sold separately. When this 43rd meeting was started, we were thinking that it would be related to mainly COVID. But alas, what we had found is that COVID was only a small part of it. They had come out with many clarifications, many things which they wanted to come out with. But for the last almost 6 months, there was no meeting and they could not come out with those clarifications. This COVID pandemic GST Council meeting, I would say, had been used for purposes other than giving relief for the COVID pandemic. Now, these educational services, 2 benefits had been given. Now, these 2 benefits has to be considered in a very different perspective, because when you go through the words of it, you will not realize what type of benefit has been given. I would just go through the wordings first. Services supplied to an educational institution, including Anganwadi, which provide pre-school education also by way of serving of food, including midday meal, under any midday scheme. Now, the words are important. Is sponsored by government, is exempt from levy of GST, irrespective of funding of such supplies from government grants or corporate donations. Now, the exemption was there. But if the meals were being served through government grants or corporate donation, it was considered as a supply. And the person who was providing these grants or supply, it was sometimes notices were being issued that the supply of this midday meal, if it is through corporate donations, it is liable to GST and therefore GST would be applicable. Although the main service was exempt. The clarification has been issued and now the doubt has been removed as such. The second clarification is more important. Wherever the fees was being charged for way of entrance examinations by National Board of Examination or central or state educational boards, the fees was liable to be taxed. Now that has been exempt and even input has been exempted for it. Now, though these 2 clarifications are very important, because now the exemption, even when the fee is charged by the examination center, that is very important. Now, always there was a controversy what to do and what not to do in this case. And the mother of all clarifications is the clarification in the real estate sector, which has been given. I would say this is a smallest amendment giving maximum benefit. You know, there are two type of transactions in the real estate sector. The main owner or the property developer purchases the land and develops it on it. And the second is the builder developer agreement. In the case of a builder developer agreement, what happens is there is a landowner and there is a builder. They shake hands and come together and say, you use my land and you use your expertise for the construction of the flats or the villas or whatever it is, and we will share the profit in a fixed ratio, either in monetary terms or in land or construction or area terms. Now, in such cases, there was always a question of GST. Now, some of the consultants was always saying that in the case of builder developer agreement, there is no transfer of property from the developer to the owner of the land. It is his own property and therefore no tax can be levied. They were relying on the Raheja judgment of the Supreme Court earlier in the case of Karnataka law, VAT law. That was there, but that was the earlier law. The controversies were going on. In the GST, what was there was that in case of builder developer agreement, the developer would charge GST when completion certificate or first residing is there. Now, that was always creating problem because the landowner was selling some of the flats earlier, and then he was required to deposit the GST from his own pocket. And at the end, when the GST input credit was available to him, there was no further payment of GST. And then the refund would not be allowed because it was a case of services. And in case of services, the refund is not allowed. So it was a double whammy. And that double whammy has been clarified, simplified, and it is good. But it is one of the major clarification which has come, and it would give boost to the real estate industry like anything. Now what they had done, they had tinkered with small words and they had simply said, the last three lines are very important. The developer promoter shall be allowed to pay GST relating to such apartment anytime before or at time of issuance of completion certificate. So he can, developer promoter can give the tax anytime. So what the landowner would do whenever he wants to sell his quota of flats, he will be liable for the GST on the sale of his quota of flats. He would be paying GST, but he will be getting input credit from the developer who would be issuing him a bill, and on the basis of that input tax credit, he will be offsetting his liability and will be paying only on the difference amount. So the output liability of GST would be substantially reduced. And that would give a big filler to this builder developer concept and this builder developer agreements, or which we say a joint collaboration agreements or a joint venture agreements. They would now rule the roost. And this great GST anomaly has been done away with, simplified in a manner which is really remarkable and by way of a clarification. Now, one of a very intelligent person came to me and he said, "Arey Mr. Ghia, aap to ye sari baatein karte ho, inhone to aaj nikala hai. What would happen for the past transactions?" Now, these are clarifications. These are not amendments. In the case of amendments, normally it is prospective unless it is effectively said that it is retrospective. But in the clarification is clarifying the provision. So when the clarification is there, clarifying the provision, and the provision was there since beginning, the tax was being levied on that provision. Therefore, this would always be having a retrospective effect, and it would be effective from the very day the provision came into force. And therefore, all controversies relating to such builder developer agreement, joint development agreement, joint venture agreement would evaporate by virtue of this clarification. A very welcome clarification, I would say. Now this MRO clarification, though it is not much of use for us, for the simple reason that it is a benefit given to the repair sector for the shipping industry, because they were competing from international shippers and the international repair centers, and there the tax rate was very low, and here we were charging 18%. Now that has been reduced to 5%, and that is a very welcome clarification again. Now, milling of wheat and paddy. Now, there was a big controversy about this milling of wheat and paddy and the rate of tax, whether it would be 5% or 18%. Now, there are certain services on which 5% is levied for agriculture commodities, for the job work of agriculture commodities. Now, what the government has done two things. The first thing is that they had said that when it is supplied under PDS, or under government scheme, then and the composite supply does not exceed 25%, the rate of tax would be different and it would be exempt. But if it is given to any person registered in GST, then it would be 5%. Now, if it has simply stopped at that, it would have been a no relief, because most of the persons, most of the agriculturists, most of the other persons are not registered. But they had said the government agencies are not registered. But they had said one more thing, including a person registered for payment of TDS. So not only a person who is registered in GST as a registered person for supply of inward supply or outward supply of services, but also a person registered for payment of TDS. So even if a person who is not providing any inward or outward services, but is registered for payment of TDS, and that is the government department predominantly. That is the government department predominantly. So even if the job work is done for them, it would be liable to tax at the rate of 5%. Again, a very major relief for the agriculturist farmers and the milling industry for wheat and paddy, and that would give a big boost to this time. And the wheat season is already starting. The wheat, the production has already, the crop has already come. So this is the right time for giving this thing. Now for the annuity payments, again a clarification. And that clarification is something which every operator was asking. Now GST is payable on annuity payments. Benefit of the exemption is for such annuities which are paid for the services by way of access to a road or bridge. So in case of such annuities, the benefit would be available, and there would be different liability of tax, and that is something which we have to understand. Two minor clarification has again been given for the ropeway services. There were ropeways being constructed at various places, and the rate of tax was different. Rate of tax issues were different for the reason that if some supply is being made to government, it would be liable to tax at the rate of 12%. That's it, as per various other notifications. Now that has been done away with, and the government has come with a clarification, and that clarification says services supplied to a government entity by way of construction of a ropeway will attract tax at the rate of 18%. Now that is a contrary to the notification. I would simply say again, there would be many challenges by way of writ petitions. There would be many challenges by way of further explanations or clarifications, representations to the government, but that has to be done. Government was guaranteeing loans taken by the public sector units or public sector undertakings, and that services of guaranteeing by the government was in doubt, and whether GST would be levied on or not. Now, because the government is government, and they cannot exempt COVID medicine, they cannot exempt COVID medicines equipment, medical equipments, but they can exempt any tax being levied on them. So what they had done, such guarantee would not constitute a service liable to be taxed under GST, and they had come out with a clarification for it. So friends, this is the first limb of the major recommendations made in the 43rd GST Council meet. And apart from all, when you go through all these clarifications and things, you will find that in the COVID pandemic, when everybody was asking कि भाई सितंबर तक टैक्स रेट, सितंबर तक आप टाइम बढ़ा दो, टैक्स पेमेंट का टाइम बढ़ा दो, रिटर्न्स के टाइम बढ़ा दो, they had done away with the clarifications, and for the extension of time, they had extended the time for payment of tax or for filing of returns like a beggar, like a miser, I would say. 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, 26 days. What is this? Why don't you come out with a clarification? They are saying the third wave would be coming. Everybody is in lockdown. I am sitting in a lockdown, sitting in my office because my office is at my residence. And that is a boon to me. Sometimes I had realized that if my office was somewhere else, what would happen to my work? I am arguing the cases on VC day in, day out, but what with a limited work because the office is there. But in the lockdown, we cannot go out, the staff cannot come. Work from home for us and for our staff, it is a miracle. It is a miracle. And that is where we have to understand, that is where we have to see that these time limits which has been extended are very, very short. And we have to follow the law. We don't have any other alternative. Normally I have a different concept. I always say, why we bother about these time limit? The fine would be levied on the traders and the industrialists and all those associations. They don't protest. They always welcome all the moves of the government. They will give guidelines to the officials. They will never say that you have to do something like extension of time or late fee or something from that. But apart from it, it doesn't matter. We come to the point directly. Many things are there. So for GSTR 3B, now more than 5 crores. Due dates, now these due dates, including the relaxation in interest. So for the month of March till 5th of May, 9% interest was to be levied. After 5th May, full 18%. The no late fee till 19th May 21. April, it is 4th June 2021. May, it is 5th July 2021. And the tax payment can be made up to 5th July 21 with 9% and thereafter with 18%. So friends, these are the time limits which we have to keep in mind. This is for dealers who are having more than 5 crore turnover. Then dealers having up to 5 crore, not opting for QRMP scheme. Again, you can refer to the chart. At certain interval, this chart has already been circulated, so I am not taking much of the time. I am just glancing it through, and certain aspects would be dealt with me. You have to understand that time of return has not been extended. This is to be kept clear in mind. The time of return has not been extended. Only and only the late fee would not be levied. So there is a difference in extension of time of filing of return, and there is a difference in stating that no late fee would be levied. So the due date of filing of return remains the same. For the delayed period, the late fee was to be levied, that would not be levied. And that is the only relaxation which has been given. So for the dealers having turnover up to 5 crores, not opting for the month of March, 19 June 21, April, 4th July 21, and May 21, it is 20th July 21, with again relaxation in interest of 9%, and then full interest at 18% up to the cutoff dates. And again, some amendments, some changes in for the dealers filing 3B up to rupees 5 crore opting for QRMP scheme. They can file the returns up to 22nd June 21. It is for the QRMP, so there would be no different for other things. and it has to be filed accordingly. So for the payment of the QRMP, April and May, 22nd June has been extended. So for the period up to 22nd June, the relaxation and interest has been given as per the details mentioned in this PPT. For the month of April till 9th May, no interest, and up to 10th July, 9% interest, and thereafter 18% interest, and so on. There is some confusion in it, but let it be. Now, this is very important. And this is for GSTR1. Monthly scheme GSTR1 May, it has due date was 11th June. It has been extended up to 26th June. QRMP IFF May 21, 13 June, extended up to 28 June. GSTR4, that is annual return for composition dealer, 2021, 31st May, it has been extended up to 31st July. And ITC 04, it has been January to March, 31st May 21, it has been extended up to 30th June 21. Now, friends, the question would arise in certain cases. And what are the cases? Whether these relaxations or extension of time is enough, or we would be asking for more. And whether there should be a blanket date extending the time and not staggered dates. Again, that is something which is in question, and we would be discussing in the question answer sessions for that. But now come to the amnesty scheme. And now that is the funniest part. Amnesty scheme would be available, and it is only and only for GSTR 3B. Mind it, it is not for GSTR 1. Only and only for GSTR 3B. And what is the amnesty scheme for the July 2017 to April 2021 returns? Because for the April onwards, the time has already been extended, and that time is there. Therefore, they had come up for the returns for the period July 2017 to April 2021. Some things are good. If you had not filed the returns, the fee has been capped, and the capping is really, really good. If you have no tax liability, the total of CGST, SGST would come to 500 rupees, and for the other taxpayer, it would come to 1000 rupees. That is really good. But what would happen to the credits? Whether the input tax credit would be given or not? What would happen to the riders of section 16(4)? Now that is something which nobody knows. You are allowing the filing of returns. You are allowing the defaulting dealers to regularize themselves. By filing of return, the purchaser would get the credit, though he would have to file GSTR 1 also if the purchaser has to get a credit. That has to be kept in mind. But then you have to understand that if you are giving an amnesty, you are allowing a dealer to file the return, but filing of his return does not allow input tax credit to the purchaser. What is the fun of it? On one transaction, the government is trying to levy two tax. Take tax twice. One is by the filing dealer, he would have to pay tax on the GSTR 3B, which he is filing and showing outward supply of goods. And the purchasing dealer, input tax credit would be disallowed because you have not filed 3B. Though you may have filed GSTR 1, though you may not have filed GSTR 1, and you may file it today, but the purchasing dealer would not get a credit, and that is the funniest part. A lot of litigations are there. What is the benefit of amnesty scheme? Because this amnesty is if the returns are filed from 1st June onwards to 31st August. What would happen to the late fee which has already been paid? Can a discrimination be made? A person who has complied, paid late fee, and he would not be reimbursed the late fee, but a person who has not complied, a person who is defaulter, he would be given amnesty at the tax benefit, and he would be given benefit that of the reduced late fee also, something which we have to consider. Now, a very, very welcome amendment. Now, this is something which everybody was asking, and particularly Nigam Bhai, I would give credit to him. Nigam Bhai and his team, and particularly Gujarat tax practitioners, whether it is chartered accountants, advocates, or tax practitioners, and particularly all their associations, because this was a major demand that the late fee should be kept. Late fee should be restricted, and it should not be unrestricted. There should be a maximum limit to it. And all credit goes to you, your associations, and your persons who had been following it up with the finance ministry day in and day out. Friends, it is, I would simply say, credit is being taken by many persons, but the major credit goes to Gujarat professionals who has worked hard through their respective associations to cap this late fee. And capping of this late fee is a wonderful thing and will go a long way in simplifying of GST. I think everybody knows for the GSTR 3B, from June onwards, if it is of nil, then 500 rupees. If it is of up to 1.5 crores, it is 2,000 rupees, CGST and SGST together. And if it is more than 1.5 crores and up to 5 crores, then it is 5,000 rupees, 2,500 for CGST and 2,500 for SGST. Again, a very important change, capping of the late fee, and we have to understand those things. So these are something which we will have to understand, and we have to go through the major changes which we have to see. Now, for the late fee for GSTR 4, that is for annual composition dealer, this new proviso has been added, and for the financial year 2021, this has been done again 500 rupees if it is nil, no tax liability, and 1,000 rupees if it is, you know what, for other taxpayers, that is if there is any tax liability. And the time has been extended from 31st May 2021. The filing of GSTR 1 annual return, that is for composition dealers, the time has been extended to 31st July 2021. Again, particularly for GSTR 7 TDS returns, there is some confusions, though the benefit has been given that what would be the late fee, the extension, I could not go through it, and that is where we have to understand the restrictions. Now, the funniest of all amendments, Rule 36(4). I think each and every tax professional must be having one or more cases challenging the virus of Rule 36(4) or facing the problem in calculation of the Rule 36(4) restrictions. Now, the 5% condition that you can claim 105% of the total ITC. Now, that was done away with for the month of April. Now they say for the period of April, May, and June, it would be calculated cumulatively. Now, that was done earlier, if you remember, up to the month of September. From February to September, it was done last year. And when it was done last year, people were saying this cumulatively calculation is creating a problem. But now again, they had come out with this thing again. For the 3 months, they are saying that you have to calculate it jointly and you will have to work out on it. For the companies, EVC time limit has been extended, and it has been extended up to 31st August 2021, and that is again a welcome amendment. Now, till now, we were talking of all amendments relating to the dealers, to the assessees, to the registered persons. Now, they had given the extension to themselves also. And that extension has been given for the compliances which they had to be done. Up to 30th May, that has been extended up to 29 June. For 31st May, 30th June, and 15th June, they had extended to 15th July. It is the timelines not for the dealer, It is the timeline for the authorities for issuing notices, for passing of orders, for issuing SCN, for issuing other things. And friends, therefore, when we ask for extension of timeline for us, you can always expect now that the timelines for the officers would also be extended. Again, a double-edged sword. So don't ask for extension of timelines for you henceforth, and that would be good, because you can always expect that the officer would not comply with certain timelines. Now, this self-certification, people were asking why this has not been notified and why the notification is pending. Some rumors was going on that there is a lobby going on, and this deletion which was made could be restored again. But now that all rumors had been come to a naught, there is a clear-cut notification, and it has been now notified for the year 2021. For the GSTR 9A up to 2 crores, there is no requirement. 9C up to 5 crores, more than 5 crores, it is mandatory for more than 5 crores, the reconciliation statement. So annual return is required for dealers having a turnover for more than 2 crores in the year financial year 2021, but reconciliation statement is required, and this reconciliation statement is by self-certification. This reconciliation statement is by self-certification instead of a certification by a chartered accountant or a I think a cost accountant. So self-certification has been notified now, and this was something which was the demand of all the professionals, and many representations for and against this amendment was being made, and lobbying was being made. Now, system of filing of GSTR 1 and 3B, we can foresee major amendments in that, because the government is thinking, and they had given their idea that they were thinking of changes in the system of GSTR 1 and 3B, and they can go for a default return filing system in GST for the interest on net cash liability. Now, two restrictions are there. If the notices had been issued, then in such cases, this amendment in section 50 would not be made applicable. But if the notices are not issued, then this amendment has been made effective now. You will remember the amendment in the Act was made in the Finance Bill 2021, Union Finance Bill 2021. It had become the Finance Act 2021. But because all the corresponding amendments in the state GST was not made, this was kept pending. And now when all the amendments had been made in the state GST law, this has been notified and the notification has been issued. I think in all the states now, these notifications had been issued as a precursor to the notification issued by the center. And now this retrospective amendment in the net cash liability for interest calculation. And because of it, many litigations, many SCN where we had filed the reply, it was not being decided by the authorities, would be decided now, and the proceedings would be dropped. And in case some recoveries are made, it would be refunded or released, and benefit would be available. So friends, broadly, this is more and more about 43rd GST Council meeting, the major amendment, and my view on it. We would be discussing, taking some question and answers on it very shortly. But one more issue has been given to me, that is some throwing of some light on the recent issues, and recent issues which are for the benefit of all, because those recent issues may be faced by all the participants. So I would be in brief touching about some of the issues which are being faced throughout the country and had come to my knowledge. One is ITC availed, mentioned in excess and reversed in subsequent. Now, what has happened in 2017, 18, 19, due to the initial years? Some people said they did not have fund. So what they did was mention ITC amount, whatever they want to, had not, it was not actual amount and claimed ITC and not paid the tax. Sometimes due to calculation or Excel mistake or addition mistake, the same ITC was added in 3 months and it was reported in 3B and it was claimed in 3B. Sometimes what has happened is that because of wrong posting in the tally or otherwise, the ITC was multiplied by 2 or 3 times and it was added in the 3B and claimed. Now, in all these issues, the show cause notices are being issued because what you had done during your audit or something, you had come across the problem, you had reversed it, you had corrected it. Even if you had filed the annual return, you had corrected it in the annual return. But the department is saying you have claimed the excess ITC, though maybe you have not availed it. Now, there are 3 words: claimed, availed, and used. Claimed is different. Whenever you put an amount which is wrong, it is claimed. Availed is when you had availed it, when you had utilized it. Now, because of mentioning by mistake or otherwise, and because of reversal at a later stage, now that is a big question. The liability of interest is coming in such cases. Show cause notices are being issued. Sometimes you are asked for reversal of ITC now, and that figures comes to a huge amount. So in those cases, we have to be very cautious. The reply has to be very point-wise with all clarity and factual issues to be mentioned. Now, the second type of litigations or show cause notices which are coming is when outward supply in GSTR1 is shown correctly, but in 3B is shown less. Now, because this can be because of adjustment of tax, this can be because of paucity of funds, and you would always be saying that in the next 3B we would have increased it. There can be many reasons. There are certain cases where GSTR1 has been filed, but 3B has not been filed. So in the 2A earlier, it is not in the current time, because that mistake has been rectified by the government by virtue of the latest amendments recently made some times back, wherein they had said that both the returns has to be correlated. Now, because of those things, your input tax credit can be restricted. And if the 3B has not been filed, then input tax credit can be disallowed in that cases. Many show cause notices are being issued for that purpose. The third is the bogus bill SCA. You had purchased from Mr. XYZ and Mr. XYZ has purchased from ABC and ABC has purchased from DEF, and all are bogus. There is no actual movement of goods, there is no actual supply, there is no payment of tax, there is no filing of returns, and all the transaction chain is bogus. Now the department says, Mr. XYZ, you had purchased the goods as per your claim. You had claimed ITC and that is not correct, and therefore you are liable for reversal. And in some cases, they are asking for penalty also. Now again, that is something depends on the factual aspects. Many issues are there. How to claim, whether you had purchased or not, whether you had taken the bills only, whether the payment has been only a bank transaction or a sham transaction, or whether actual movement of goods was there. In one of the cases, I had argued a bail petition before the High Court. I said that you are saying that there was no movement of goods. I have toll receipt which says that the goods had come and I can prove it, and I submitted the toll receipt before the High Court. And High Court asked the department, how can toll receipt be forced? And they gave bail to my client. So there are some issues which we have to understand, which we have to consider. So this bogus bill SC, and I'm just touching upon the recent issues. I'm not going through it because these topics are topics which if I start with, it would take 1 hour, 2 hours in themselves only. And then we would be left with no time for the questions and answers. Then there is a ITC difference in ITC amount in 2A and 3. Now that is a very common problem. In 2A, the amount is different, 3B, the amount is different, and the returns are not co-matching. And the authorities issuing notices to all dealers of the 2A saying that because the matching is not there, we will be disallowing ITC. Then 16.4 ITC. Now this is something, I don't know why the government is adamant. They are not allowing. They are extending the time for each and everything, even for filing of 3B, even for filing of GSTR1. But they are not allowing the time for 16.4 extension. Credit is there. I had rightly claimed credit. Even if I was delayed, you can levy a token penalty, late fee. But you cannot deny me the credit. The credit cannot be denied. And that is something which we have to understand. Then you have to understand one more thing. A very funny question has come. Because of 16.4, what amount you will claim as ITC credit? Whether the amount which is coming in 2A or whether the amount as per your books. I would elaborate it further. Suppose in books, the credit is, ITC credit is 100 rupees. In 2A, it is coming 80 rupees. Your 16.4 limitation, that is September, has already came. The returns are to be filed by 20th of October. That time has come. What credit would you claim? Whether it would be as per books or as per the 2A. Naturally, because 16.4 says, as per books, you will have to claim credit as per books. 100 rupees. Now that 20 rupees dealer has evaporated. He was a forced dealer. Now what the authorities are saying? They are issuing you notices under section 16(2)(c), saying that you had claimed 100 rupees. So you reverse 20 rupees. I say I am getting input tax credit of 80 rupees only as per 2A. So I am already getting input tax credit of 80 rupees. If I reverse 20 rupees more, I would get a credit of 60 rupees only. And if you give me credit of 100 rupees, then I would reverse 20 rupees. But you are giving me credit of 80 rupees only and you are asking for a reversal of 20 rupees more. So it is a double whammy. You are asking for double deduction and that is not correct. But the department is not understanding. They are issuing notices day in and day out for it. And alas, what can you do? Registration cancellation. Now, registration cancellation is the new tool in the hands of the department. These officers, they do not understand what can be the effect of a registration cancellation. They issue a notice, it is online, you don't file a reply, or you file a reply, they don't consider, say we found the reply unsatisfactory and cancel the registration. And then you go to different places, file applications, file appeal for revocation of cancellation of the registration certificate. And what would happen? For 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, neither you can make any purchase, neither you can make any sale. Even you cannot generate any bill, your business come to an halt, and these buggers, what they can do is, they can ruin your business. They can close your business. So my friends, I always say, 3 things must be followed. File return, file deposit tax, whatever it is, right or wrong, deposit tax, file returns, and if you receive any notice, where do you receive the notice? Whether it is on your SMS or on mobile or on email? No, you see the portal also. because in the portal, GSTN portal, there is a header called recent notices and summons. And you claim and see that also. And you should ask your client, don't mention your mobile number. You should ask your client to update it. Like he opens WhatsApp in the morning, even before saying Hare Rama, Hare Krishna or Jai Shri Krishna in the morning. He will say Jai Shri Krishna later on. First, he will see his mobile and open the WhatsApp and see something must have happened during the night. So he asked him to log on to the GSTN portal also and see if there is any remembrance notice by the GST department to you. Because now GST department can issue any notice and they had simply to put it on the portal. So if you do not reply to the notices within the specified period, on the very next day, the order against you is there on the portal again. I am fighting hundreds of cases, filed almost 100 of writs before the various high courts. And you know, in the Madhya Pradesh High Court, in the famous case of Akash Garg, I said that if they do not put it on the GSTN portal, that notice is wrong. And the court accepted. That is a reported case, wherein if the notice is not mentioned on the GSTN portal, the show cause notice under Rule 144 is not mentioned on the GSTN portal, it is not a valid notice, and any order passed in pursuance to is also not a valid order. And they quash the notice and the order in that case. So friends, take care of that. Then additional income in P&L balance sheet. The returns are being filed of the business, the returns are being filed of the purchases, sales, services, whatever. But there are some additional income in the P&L and balance sheet, and that is not reported. And then your client receive a notice because they go with the 26 AS, they check with your income tax return, they check with the TDS statement, and they will issue a notice. And the client say, "अरे वकील साहब, अरे CA साहब, आपने तो बताया ही नहीं कि इस इनकम को भी दिखाना पड़ता है. ये तो हमारे बिजनेस की इनकम थोड़ी थी." The transactions like rent of a commercial property, the transactions like oh, I missed it. Just hold on. I don't know where it has gone. It has been deleted, I think. Whatever. So those things, those points, those things has to be considered. And friends, that those are the things where you have to take care of it. You have to understand that in such cases, just a minute, again, I would have to go through. So this is, I would be coming to my own screen now. So friends, in such cases where there is a rent of a commercial property, you had given some shop, you have a house, you have a shop downstairs, you had not realized that even a rental, even a property which is given on rent, though it character may be residential, but if it is given for commercial purpose, it is liable for tax under GST. If you are a registered person under GST, then even a rent of 1,000 rupees would be liable to tax, and you may not be knowing it. But it may come through your income tax return, it may come through your 26 AS statement, it may come through any other information. So you have to take care of those things, you have to take care of such type of issues. And if a reply is to be filed in such cases, you have to be very cautious of it. So friends, this is broadly what I was talking about, the amendments of the 43rd Council meeting and some recent issues, some controversial issues. There are many issues where notices are being issued on the drop of a hat because of the interpretation of a notification, because of the interpretation of some AAR, and more particularly for the bogus bills. Bogus bills is something which I don't want to address it right now because it is a topic in itself. But for small issues also, the notices are being issued and you have to be very cautious. One thing I would like to caution you. The question is that earlier we were very casual in our approach. We were taking adjournments, we were taking lightly, we will be filing the reply in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months. Now there are limitations. Now you have to file the reply if a SCN has been issued within 30 days. In the SCN, they don't give a next date. They say within 30 days of the receipt of the notice. Normally, it should be considered from the date of the notice. So you should file your reply within 30 days. Because if you don't file reply, the authority may pass the order. And once he passes the order, the only remedy available to you is to file an appeal before the authority. And that remedy is costly because you have to make a pre-deposit. And the mistake can be either yours or client, it doesn't matter, but the mistake is mistake. The second thing is, we are not asking whenever we filing any reply, whenever we are saying replying to any show cause notice or a general query letter or whatever, we are not asking for the opportunity of personal hearing may be given. That should be the tagline in each and every correspondence you are doing with the department. Opportunity of personal hearing be given. Because if you are not mentioning that, they will simply pass the order without giving the opportunity of personal hearing because you have not asked for it. They say you had filed the reply, we will consider the reply, we will pass the order. And you nowadays, because of the pandemic, what we are doing is, we are simply saying, if the personal hearing is not possible, then personal hearing through WhatsApp or Zoom or WebEx should be given, and it should be intimated at least 3 days in advance so that we can communicate with our clients. Sending the reply through physical mode, I would always suggest that you always mail the reply to the authority also. Because sometimes the authority says, अरे ये क्या लिख दिया आपने reply में, इसमें ये correction करा के लाओ. Sometimes you don't go, you send your junior or you send your office staff for filing of replies and they harass you. If the reply is sent by mail, it is on record. You can always say, अरे सर हमने तो mail पे भेज दिया, आप लें तो बहुत अच्छा, और नहीं ले तो और भी अच्छा. And that is the new faceless thing, which is beneficial. So faceless benefits, it is not only for the department, it is for us also to use those faceless benefits. With these words, I think I would be concluding my remarks, and I would be open to question and answers and any supplementaries which can be given by the participants. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and particularly I am grateful for the two great organizations of Gujarat who had asked me to give my views on these changes and the recent controversies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Friends, now this forum is open for question answer. Is there any question from anybody? Please note down your question in the chat box. जिसको भी कोई क्वेश्चन है चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं. One question from our member. One more thing they are doing. One question is one more thing they are doing. Portal is not allowing GSTR1 for any discrepancy in cancel or suspended GSTN number. How this must be treated? Every time month is not possible for every time or month is not possible for us to ascertain such transaction in B2C, and then when it converted into active status, we have to show them in B2B. What the other remedy for this? So
see, in the GSTR1, you can always make the amendments. And I always say that it is like you choose your friends now. So you choose your business partners like that. Choose good business partners. If there are doubts, if there are things which can be bogus, you have to shed themselves. Even if they are giving you big profits, sometimes you have to shed themselves. But for B2C transactions which has been shown by you, you can convert it into B2B by amending the GSTR1, and that can be done.
Yes, sir. What even after September? In this situation, if this amendment is made after September, what could be situation?
Which amendment?
This B2B, my transaction was declared as a B2C transaction. After this, after September, I have declared this.
No, there would be a restriction in it, and because the input tax credit cannot be claimed, so it is better to do it within the time limit specified. And in case of any doubt, because you would be knowing that you had made a B2B transaction, but that B2B person registration certificate is cancelled. So send him a letter or a message or an email or a WhatsApp whether your registration is cancelled, and you will not be able to get input tax credit benefit.
Sir, one other query is raised by another member. It is come to my WhatsApp. One notice was issued for section 50. So notice or summons. It is under process. Now, can it be, we can rely upon this latest notification for drop down of this SCN?
Yes, definitely. But there are two restrictions that there should not be any notice issued under section 73 or 74 for it. So those things have to be considered. Otherwise, this amendment is retrospective and effective from 1st July 2017.
Yes. Any other question from our member?
Nigam bhai, one more question I have received in my WhatsApp.
Yes, sir.
Registration is cancelled or suspended due to fraud, misrepresentation, or suppression of some facts. On these grounds, the registration is cancelled. Now, in the case of the taxpayer, the registration had not been obtained with any fraud or misrepresentation of the fact. Even before granting the registration, spot visit was also done. In this scenario, other than the revocation, what is the ground in the revocation for the cancellation of this suspension?
See, for any revocation of registration certificate cancellation, three things should be followed. First is file a detailed explanation point-wise to their show cause notice. Second, annex all the documents like your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, your valid rental agreement on ownership property documents, your electricity bill, and an affidavit to that effect. Because what can be bogus, what can be, what can be not proper in a registration certificate, in a registration. Either the Aadhaar is wrong or the documentations are wrong, or the main thing is always the main thing is that the address which has been mentioned in application for registration is not supported by valid documents. So those documents should be annexed along with application.
Yes, sir. Any other question from any member? Mr. R. Thakkar, I am not able to understand your question. However, I am repeating this question in this platform. The effect of amnesty scheme corresponded in portal question mark. What do you want to say that I am not able to understand? Another question is pertains to Gujarat VAT, but conceptually under VAT Act, I have paid as a pre-deposit for obtaining registration or any other issue. So I have paid as a pre-deposit, and then this pre-deposit can be claimed as a refund under GST.
No, it is not claimed under GST, but you can claim the refund under the VAT, and they would issue you a refund voucher directly to your bank, and it would be a direct credit to the bank. It is being done in all the states.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Friends, any more question? Any other question from anybody?
Nigam bhai, Hemang bhai is raising his hand.
Okay, 1 minute. Purvesh bhai, your task and other issues are practical issues, and for this purpose, we will discuss later on other platform. Pratik bhai, Mr. Hemang Shah, please unmute him. Mr. Hemang ji, please raise your question.
Good evening, sir.
Yes,
Thanks for your nice presentation.
thank you.
Sir, in notification number 18, there is one amendment. And for the words, letters and figures required to furnish the return in Form 3B, but fail to furnish the said return along with payment of tax, the words liable to pay tax but fail to do so shall be substituted. What will be the effect of this substitution?
Oh, let me see the notification then. I would have to go through the notification. Just hold on a minute.
No problem, sir.
In which part you are talking?
Sir, notification number 18 dated 1st
Yes.
June 20.
For the words, letter and figure required to furnish the return in Form GSF but fail to furnish the said return along with payment, the word liable to pay tax but fail to do so shall be substituted. So basically what they are doing is that here the earlier the words were required to furnish the return in Form GSTR 3B. So they deleted the word Form GSTR 3B. Now they have said liable to pay tax but fail to do so.
Yes, sir. What
That
will be
the effect is simply that what they had done is they had disappeared. They had deleted the requirement of the linking of GSTR 3B with the payment of tax in this matter.
So without paying tax, we can file 3B?
No, that is what they are saying. Previously, the requirement was required to furnish the return in Form GST 3B, but failed to furnish the said return along with payment of tax. Liable to pay tax, but failed to do so. So what they have done is, some people have filed the 3B showing higher input tax credit. You know, in input in 3B, you can earlier in the year 2017, 18, 19, you can have mentioned, say, 5 lakhs of input tax credit and your output was 4,50,000 and you could have filed the return. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was the effect. So that they have deleted that thing and now they have simply said liable to pay tax but failed to do so. Shall be substituted.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nigam bhai.
Thank you.
So, is there any further question from anyone? I think there is no any further question on this matter. Now, friends, after taking elaborate discussion and our knowledge from Mr. Giaji, I am requesting, we have past president of Gujarat Cess Tax Bar Association, Mr. I am requesting Mr. Urvesh Patel to give memento, virtual memento, to Mr. Pankaj Giaji. All are requested to give love thanks to Mr. Giaji. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Urvesh bhai. And thank you, Nigam bhai, for this wonderful memento.
Yes, sir. And some announcement is from Tax Advocate Association of Gujarat. I am requesting Mr. Pratik Patel to pronounce some announcement as well as to give vote of thanks. Mr. Pratik ji.
Thank you, sir. Happily announce that the TAC organized first LG Thakkar Memorial Lecture on the Constitutional Right and Fundamental Rights and the Indian Evidence Act by Senior Advocate Sri Dushyant Bhai Dave on 5th June 2021. And say the vote of thanks, sir. At the outset, firstly, I would like to thank Sri Sunil Bhai Keshwani, President of the Tax Advocate Association Gujarat, Sri P.K. Soni sir, President of Gujarat Cell Tax Bar Association, Convener Sri Vari Sisani ji, and Nigam sir ji for giving me opportunity to propose vote of thanks. The eminent speaker of the day, Advocate Sri Pankaj Giaji, for giving his talk on overview of recent amendment and changes and controversy under the GST Act. I would extend our deep sense of gratitude toward the speaker for sharing their knowledge on the topic which concern all of us. Lastly, I would like to appreciate and acknowledge the strength and support provided by all the delegates present here and make our webinar successful. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. With the kind permission of House and both the President, can I sum up this webinar, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Pankaj, thank you very,
Thank
very
you. Thank you, Nigam bhai. Thank you,
much,
thank
sir.
you everybody for giving me a patient hearing, and I really enjoyed.
No, we are also very proud to have such a personality for our Gujarat members.
Sir.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.